Cannabis is the name of the flower from a hemp plant. Marijuana refers to the dried and crushed up flower tops and leaves of the plant. The marijuana contains cannabinoid chemical compounds which deliver psychedelic effects. There are well over 400 chemicals produced by the hemp plant. Many are unique to the hemp family. The most notorious chemicals derived from cannabis are tetrahydrocannabinols, THC, and cannabidiol, CBD. THC is most abundant in the flower, or bud of the plant. CBD forms mostly in the stalks. Industrial hemp is grown for the stalk of the hemp plant. And the medicinal use of hemp is concentrated on the flower. Marijuana has been used to medically treat muscle spasms caused by multiple sclerosis, nausea from cancer chemotherapy, poor appetite and weight loss caused by chronic illness, such as HIV, or nerve pain, seizure disorders, Crohn's disease, and pain relief. Animal lovers have turned to cannabis-based products to alleviate a host of pet maladies, including seizures, inflammation, anxiety and pain. Although they have not been approved by regulators, marijuana-based treatments are being used not only for cats and dogs, but for pigs, horses and domesticated wild animals. The industrial cultivation of hemp produces paper, fuel, oils, clothing, plastic, rope, and edibles. Cannabis plants have distinct characteristics that can be expressed based on a number of factors. These unique characteristics create a marijuana strain. Many of these different strains are given weird names for marketing appeal, such as Wild Thai Rider, Spicy White Devil, Old Mother Sativa, and other bizarre names. Based on where you live, you will find different cultural names assigned to marijuana. Some of the street slang and nicknames are Dhaka, South Africa; Pakalolo, Hawaii; Ganja, Jamaica; Mota, Spain; and Kif, North Africa. People have created synthetic marijuana, all to mimic the psychedelic effects of THC. Synthetic marijuana is man-made, mind-altering chemicals. They are either sprayed on dried and shredded plant material to be smoked, herbal incense, or sold as liquids to be vaporized and inhaled in e-cigarettes and other devices, liquid incense. These chemicals are called cannabinoids because they are related to chemicals found in the marijuana plant. Because of this similarity, synthetic cannabinoids are sometimes misleadingly called synthetic marijuana, or fake weed, and they are often marketed as safe legal alternatives to marijuana. In fact, they may affect the brain much more powerfully than marijuana. Their actual effects can be unpredictable, and, in some cases, severe or even life-threatening. There are 4 main methods of ingesting marijuana: inhalation, oral, sublingual, and topical. Each method has unique characteristics that make it more or less appropriate for some consumers. No matter how it gets into the system, it affects almost every organ in the body, and the nervous and immune systems too. When a person smokes pot, their body absorbs THC right away. Smoking pot can increase the heart rate by as much as 2 times for up to 3 hours. Researchers in France studied 2,000 cases of cannabis users. 9 were linked to lethal cannabis-induced heart attacks. The concerns of health risks and crime rates are reasons marijuana is regulated. Currently, the margin of exposure, MOE, suggest Mary Jane is no riskier than alcohol and tobacco, rather than illicit drugs. The high MOE values of cannabis, which are in a low-risk range, suggest a strict legal regulatory approach, rather than the current prohibition. Popular baby soaps and shampoos, including products from Johnson & Johnson, Aveeno, and CVS, can trigger a positive marijuana result of exposure on some newborn screening tests. Just 0.1 milliliters or less was found to cause a positive result. As with all substances though, marijuana can affect each person differently. The amount ingested or even gender can influence how the person reacts to cannabis. It often seems like people love listening to music when they smoke cannabis. Cannabis users will often include increased appreciation of art in general, and music specifically. There is a deep relationship. This deep appreciation for art helped lead to icons such as Bob Marley, adding momentum to the now prevalent stoner genre. The term 420 was beginning to surface when fans of the Grateful Dead were using it to inform each other that it is time to get high. In the United States, cannabis users decided to use phrases like 420 for slang purposes, to disguise their illegal actions from people outside of their circle. According to an ACLU analysis, marijuana arrests now account for over half of all drug arrests in the United States. Of the 8.2 million marijuana arrests between 2001 and 2010, 88% were for simply possessing marijuana. There is no surprise why at one point the government encouraged the growth of hemp. Recent studies suggest mature marijuana industry could generate up to $28 billion in tax revenues for federal, state, and local governments, including $7 billion in federal revenue, $5.5 billion from business taxes and $1.5 billion from income and payroll taxes. Growing hemp does have costs and risks. The average grow box or tent for 4 marijuana plants consumes as much electricity as 29 refrigerators. Across America, the electricity used for indoor marijuana grows is enough to power 1.7 million homes, the equivalent output of 7 large power plants. Producing 1 kilo, 2.2 pounds, of marijuana is equivalent to driving a car that gets 44 miles to the gallon across the country 5 times. According to a 2012 study, indoor marijuana growing accounted for 3% of California's energy use that year. Growing outdoors could lead to a pest problem, which in turn could lead to environmental problems. In 2014, scientists traced the death of animals like the Pacific fisher and already endangered spotted owls to rat poisons. These poisons were used in some Northern Californian outdoor marijuana farms, adding to not only the public health concerns, but environmental concerns as well. The UN Single Convention of 1961 has made it hard for governments to reform laws and even allow research regarding cannabis. However, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has joined countries such as Jamaica and Uruguay by pushing alternative approaches to regulating medical cannabis, stressing the importance of allowing cannabis for medical and scientific uses under the United Nations standards. This was stated in President Nieto's address to the UN General Assembly Special Session. The World Health Organization's Director General Dr. Margaret Chan also stated, drug policies that focus almost exclusively on use of the criminal justice system need to be broadened by embracing a public health approach. A public health approach starts with the science and the evidence. There are still some places to go and have a toke in this world. Legalization supporters consider pot possession either legal or tolerated in Argentina, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Canada, Chile, Colombia, the Czech Republic, India, Jamaica, Jordan, Mexico, Portugal, Spain, Uruguay, Germany, and the Netherlands. Each country has many caveats. Some consider the drug just as illegal as heroin, but don't enforce the ban. Others, like Uruguay and the Netherlands, allow its recreational use.